here, please. You can start with
Hello, good morning. Hello, pleasure. Well, it's a wonderful opportunity to have a conversation here in Stockholm about very important subjects. And as always, one of them is Russia's aggression against Ukraine. And I think it's a high time that we try again and shift the discussion from the tactics of the battlefield and talk more about the strategic goals of what could be called the European security architecture of the future. We all agree that it has been greatly affected. Some would say that it has been destroyed or ruined. So I think that this is the format, Gimnich, an informal foreign ministers' council, to talk about how we see this architecture forming after the war ends. And how do we get, first of all, to the end of the war, and then how do we restructure the security of European continent. Definitely we have our ideas, being so close to the war. We definitely think that Ukraine has to win this war and restore its territorial integrity and sovereignty. That way, that's the only way that we can assure that the next conflict is not happening in Ukraine or in the European continent. The second question, definitely, that will be discussed is China. So I can be very, very brief by saying that Lithuania's message here is very simple. We cannot do the same mistakes that we've done when dealing with Russia, and now we cannot repeat them while dealing with China. In some cases, we're seeing that the track has not changed, the habits have not changed, so therefore we need to remind our friends and colleagues in Europe that we've done some grave mistakes with Russia. Let's not repeat the same mistakes when thinking about our strategy towards China.
So how will you treat China?
Sorry?
So how will you treat China?
Well, with much more caution than we did Russia for decades. Building a strategy of resilience, building a strategy of de-risking, and also taking into account, which is already being discussed, that China is building a new world order. So we cannot be a passive standbyers where this order is being created. We have to suggest how do we strengthen the current world order on which we depend on which our partners depend on. So I'm worried in some cases that we would become idle, just those observers of something big, huge, geopolitical happening in the global environment.
Are you open to sanctions against Chinese companies who help to circumvent the EU sanctions against Russia? Is this a good idea?
I would go broader. I would say that Europe really has to be very clear when it comes to anybody circumventing the sanctions outside the European Union. So that has to be a universal message. And yes, if Chinese companies do that, they should get that message. But any other country assisting Russia to circumvent sanctions should understand that they are also under the radar.
But China has warned very clearly against this step. So this could be dangerous also.
Dangerous in what sense?
That it might escalate the tensions between EU and China.
Well, but we have to think about the European stance, shouldn't we? And this is basically the strategic point that I'm trying to bring, that it's, first of all, we have to define European position, European posture and stance when it comes to Russia, Ukraine, China, defend it. And then, I think that then we can talk with others with a little bit more power. If we start by saying, okay, somebody would be upset if we implement what we told that we are going to implement, then we're just sending a message that we're not strong enough.
Are you calling for sanctions or export control or restrictions on trade? What exactly are you advocating for regarding these?
I think that sanctions is a good instrument to the companies that are proven to assist in circumvention of sanctions. I'm not sure whether a country-wide ban would be efficient or industry-wide ban would be efficient, but going case by case and reaching out to the companies who assist in sanction circumvention, I think it's a good way forward.
Why not countrywide?
Sorry?
Why not countrywide?
I don't think that we would be able to agree on that, and definitely for. Sorry?
Would you be in favor? Would Lithuania
of a countrywide ban?
Yes.
If the country. then we would need to be talking about a systemic assistance that goes way beyond just a single company, because definitely it goes, if it's escalating, right? So you start from the company, then it goes industry, and then you would see a systematic assistance to.
China, isn't that a systemic assistance?
We don't have information of systemic assistance to Russian industry or as such. There could be examples, obviously, when we're talking energy. That is probably one of the cases where we are seeing signs of systemic assistance. But then again, I mean, it still can go through the companies, then reaching out to the industries. That's my opinion.
Minister, you will discuss an EES paper today on China, which calls for continued and ongoing engagement with China. Do you think that that's a sign of naivety, or do you support the ongoing engagement of the EU with China?
Okay, the engagement is a fact. We're seeing that China will be engaged by many European industries, companies, European leaders. That's a fact. The question is, with what message do you engage? If you engage China from the position of weakness, where you declare your dependence and strategic dependence on China, that puts us in a very disadvantaged position. And we've been in that position with Russia for a very long time. And therefore, I would very much like to see Europe, being a proud shaper of world geopolitics when it comes to very important events. And for that, we need to engage, but also from the position of I would call it strength, but it could be economic strength, it could be the strength that comes out from the risking that the President of the Commission is suggesting, and we are actually very much supportive of. Some elements in the document which we'll be discussing do not show that strength, so we would like to see more of it.
Minister, Lithuania has had a lot of trouble with China, and you have supported Taiwan previously, and you were erased from exporting
Yes.
to China. How is this situation between Lithuania and China? How much support do you get from your colleagues in the Union, or do you get enough support?
I think that Lithuania's case showed that China is ready and willing to use economic coercion as a political tool, or even one might call a weapon, against the countries that its foreign policy is not in line, so to say, with Chinese version of foreign policy, the way they would like to see it. So definitely I think it taught us a very valuable lesson, all of us, globally. That there have been cases before, a case of Norway, a case of Australia, a case of South Korea, but probably we would not have understood until Lithuania's case that how far are they willing to go. And this is an awakening, understanding that we are up against a strategic rival that will use any instrument that it has in its arsenal in order to pressure countries to its will. And I think the awakening then allows us to form a stronger strategy. So we received assistance, we received political help, and I mean we found our way out. So we are back as an exporting country to China. We're able to export. I think that China does not like a position that actually it put itself in. Cornering. They thought that they will corner Lithuania into a position, but it actually worked out differently. So they wanted to get away from it. So it's definitely better. But again, it has been an awakening call, and I'm glad that now here we're actually discussing a new reality, a different reality that also Lithuania was part of creating.
What is your prime message to Foreign Minister Kuleva?
That that's always been the same message, that we're not with you till it's needed, but we're with you till the victory. So we are more specific, more clear about our strategic goals, how we are supporting Ukraine.
What is your last question? What is your stance on the frozen funds in Europe? How soon can they be paid to Ukraine, in your mind?
They should be paid as soon as the decision is made and the solution is found. Unfortunately, we're still in the process of finding the solution as to how to legally use the funds for Ukrainian reconstruction. Actually, some of the decisions might be made in Lithuania quite soon. We are looking into the ways because there are possibilities of certain bilateral, unilateral decisions within European framework. That means that the Lithuanian government has a right to use certain frozen funds, of the funds that are received out of blocked Russian funding, to use it for Ukrainian needs. I would not say reconstruction because that's not a lot of funding, and maybe that could be used as an example for others.
One more question, please. Decoupling. Everyone here says it appears that decoupling is not an option. Do you agree with that?
You know, it's a rhetorical phrase. I don't hear any advocate for decoupling. Probably the point that I'm making is that before 2024 February, I have not heard anyone talking about decoupling from Russia. And here we are. So honestly, I think maybe not in the public, maybe not everybody, but at least somebody has to devise a possibility that a decoupling might happen, not because we wished it, like with Russia, not because we willed it, but because the situation, for example, in Taiwan Straits has been changed by force. Therefore, Europe needed to react, and the reaction would lead to some sort of a decoupling. So I'm hopeful that there are people who are putting their best minds, a lot of time into this, and thinking about this really how could that happen. So definitely not advocating, just suggesting that especially in the informal meetings like this, that's a good topic for discussion. Thank you so much.